When you think about, as a detective, you ferret out truth, right? So you're actually in a situation where people are actively lying to you.
Yes,
and you have to
that's right.
find the truth.
That's right.
So when you apply that, when you bring that over to faith, how does that change how we approach faith then?
Okay, let me give you as a kind of simple model, Parrot. I think that first responders have an advantage. As Christians, we always think we need to be in the world, but not of the world. But how does that really shape out? How does that even look? Well, first responders understand that because we are in the world, but we have a certain otherness. We wear a uniform that distinguishes us from the rest of the folks in the crowd. We have to train in a certain way. We have these communities in which we train, and we deploy from those departments to be in the world. But we really are not of the world. We have there should be a higher standard for us. We should uphold that higher standard. And so I thought, well, what are the attributes of first responders that we as Christians could adopt to help us be in the world, but not of the world? And I think there are 4 things. I think number 1, we understand our duty as first responders. If it's medical or fire or law enforcement, we understand we are sworn to a certain standard. And that's why we get so upset when we see someone in our profession violate the standard, right? Because we know there's a higher standard we ought to be holding to. 2, we train. We train all the time for scenarios that probably will never occur. But we train as though they're going to occur tomorrow because we have to be ready in case they do. 3, we learn how to figure out the truth about these claims, right? And 4, we learn how to communicate that truth both to the prosecutor and ultimately to a jury to be able to make a case. Well, I think if we adopted those 4 principles as Christians, we could be ready to engage a culture, yet know that we have to really be set apart in some way. And a lot of it's just a matter of training and standards and how we investigate and how we communicate that does set us apart. It ought to, at least. And so that's what I wrote this book, Forensic Faith, about, was really just to kind of communicate those 4. What does that really look like in your daily life as a Christian, and how would that change the way you experience Christ?